Yeah. Welcome to another episode of the Christian Buddy Show. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the best way to start intermittent fasting for weight loss. I have been personally fasting for about 3 years. I am certified. I have many certifications online and you can check them out on my website, My Health Motivator. There is a link down below. So the purpose of this channel is to bring to you, the audience, high quality content around intermittent fasting for the purposes of self-discipline, for weight loss, for productivity and other various reasons. So the least that I ask of you is to subscribe to the content. It would really help the channel. So without further ado, let's jump into today's video. So you've obviously clicked on this video because you want to learn more about intermittent fasting for weight loss reasons. I've got one thing to tell you. Eat nothing. See ya. But in all seriousness though, there is some strategy towards optimizing your intermittent fasting regime towards weight loss. And I'm going to go through a few steps to optimize your regime. So I'm going to jump into the first tip. And the first tip is pick your time. So there are many different times that we can pick for an intermittent fasting window, ranging from 13 hours to 16 hours to 18 hours, even 20 hours. The most effective intermittent fasting protocol for weight loss is an OMAD protocol, 1 meal a day. However, the con with OMAD is that it is quite restrictive. Having 1 meal a day, if you're somebody who has no experience with fasting and you jump straight into OMAD, you're more than likely to give up faster because it is quite a restrictive protocol. I would attempt a 13-hour fast just to dip your toes into the water and accustom your body to the effects of fasting. So for example, you would have your last meal at 8 p.m. and then your next meal would be at 9 a.m. And maybe most of you are already doing this. We start to see the benefits of fasting really when it hits that 16 to 18 hour mark. We see slight incurrences of autophagy, the self-cleaning mechanism. So fasting for 16 hours is definitely something manageable. I mean, if you're someone that struggles with hunger pains, if you keep watching the rest of this video, I'm going to mention a cool hack that I do personally, which really manages my own hunger pains. So that's it for 16 hours. So that's tip number one. So you want to choose your time length and you want to be consistent with that time length. Consistent as much as possible. Things do happen in life. We do get sucked into social implications where a wedding or a social gathering where we need to break the fast, and that's fine. Just remember, we never give up on our goal. Consistency is the driver towards our results. We can also argue that it's irrelevant what time length we fast for. If we're consistent towards our fasting, the results will definitely yield. So I want to touch on tip number 2, which is hunger, and more so the understanding of hunger. So I'm not sure what your understanding is. Now I'm going to give you a visualization here. So as visualized through the red line, this is for someone who hasn't conducted intermittent fasting, who is a bit hesitant. Oh, I'm going to be so hungry. Maybe they're looking at hunger at like this. They're seeing the line and they're seeing it rise as the hours go on. When in actual fact, hunger doesn't operate in this manner. For the average individual, hunger tends to flow in waves, which is depicted by the green line. This graph was modeled after a famous study conducted by Natalucci, which saw patients undertake a 33-hour fast. The results demonstrated hunger was at its lowest by 8 a.m. It steadily increased at noon for lunch, dipped back down and rose for dinner at approximately 7 p.m. These patterns would suggest hunger is molded by previous eating habits. Specifically, hunger has a relationship with the circadian rhythm. Sleep, quality of food and exercise are all factors to be mindful of when managing hunger. So that's a bit of understanding around hunger. As mentioned, I'm going to give you a bit of a hack on how to manage your hunger. That is black coffee. Right, so I drink black coffee in the morning and it acts as a stimulant. So great for if you're a knowledge worker, if you're working, you're a writer, you're doing some form of knowledge work on your computer, and you need to obviously be thinking about what you're doing. Coffee is not only a fat burner, a stimulant, but it also blunts your hunger to some degree.
Ooh, that's good coffee.
Now, there are pros and cons, obviously, of having coffee, and we know the pros. I've just mentioned the pros, but the cons of coffee is it is a stimulant, it is a drug, caffeine. You can, if you consume it too late, it can affect your sleep. We don't want to become addicted to anything in life. It's an old Eastern philosophical thought, and I would recommend, if you feel like you are getting addicted to caffeine, addicted to coffee, I would recommend two things. Number one, a decaf. And more specifically, you want to go down a Swiss water method. I'm going to put a link in the description about a coffee you can buy, which is Swiss water decaf. And the reason I say Swiss water decaf is because regular decaf can contain harmful chemicals depending on how they extract the caffeine. Swiss water is known to be the healthiest option. If you want to go even healthier, we want to step up the level of healthiness, you can also opt for a chicory coffee, which is all decaf, no acidity, and I'll also put a link in the description. So that's my tip on dealing with hunger when it comes to fasting. Now, breaking the fast. This is just as important as the fast itself, and I'm gonna say one thing here. Do not break the fast with something highly glycemic. Cakes, highly sugar. We all know intuitively what we should be eating. Something high in fat, high in protein, minimal carbs. I mean, this is resemblance of the ketogenic diet. But I mean, I would suggest that it's common sense that we don't break the fast with a donut. We don't break the fast with chips. We don't break the fast with something that's going to spike our insulin, that's going to bring us back 2 steps in our weight loss regime. I'm not saying to cut these foods out altogether. I'm saying just to be a bit mindful of how we break the fast. So I'm going to give you the one tip. You want to maximize your fat loss while intermittent fasting. I highly recommend to skip breakfast and to exercise in the morning at a moderate to medium intensity. So that could be walking on the treadmill, walking the dog at a brisk pace with a friend, so you've got that social accompaniment. So there was a 2013 study, and I will put the link in the description. They compared 2 groups, one which was eating breakfast and one which was not eating breakfast. And they saw the groups that were not eating breakfast and training fasted burn up to 20% more body fat and fuel. Indicative that if you exercise at the right time, fast in the right time, if you hit all these little milestones, you will burn off fat like butter. Alright guys, so that's it for the video, and I'm going to give you a quick recap. So tip number 1 was to choose your time, 13, 16, 18 hour plus. Remember that OMAD is the most effective, but it's also the most restrictive. Tip number 2 was hunger, and more of an understanding of hunger, that it doesn't exponentially rise, it does flow in waves. So don't be so shocked or don't be so fearful when you start your intermittent fasting regime that your hunger is going to become out of control. Tip number 3, breaking the fast. This is as important as maintaining the fast. So we want to be avoiding the highly glycemic foods. It's understandable that we can't avoid them all the times, but we need to try our best, maintain consistency towards our goals, and break our fast with a nutritious meal. Tip number 4 was exercise. So if we really want to turn up the fat burning property of the body, then we will skip breakfast and exercise in the morning to burn 20% more body fat for fuel. So that's it guys, the best way to start intermittent fasting for fat loss. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Oh, and by the way, I do have a fasting ebook. You can read. I'll also put a link in the description. So this channel is all about bringing you, the audience, the best content around intermittent fasting for self-discipline, productivity, weight loss and other various reasons. So I'm putting a lot of time and effort for the audience, for you guys at home. The least you could do, please, if you could subscribe to my channel. With that said, enjoy your day, become your best self. Let's go.